Continuing on with the short bearing removal series. We've already taken a look at the simple pivot and the BSB bearing arrangements. So now it's time to remove the bearing in the last bearing arrangement found in hubs, free hubs, and suspension, the over-axle bearing arrangement. And if you want more details, go check out a video I just posted on YouTube called Remove All Bearings with a Bearing Press. What's unique about removing the first bearing in an over-axle design is that you can't directly apply the bearing press to the bearing. That's because the axle is completely blocking any contact. But that's okay. Your manufacturer will recommend that you use the axle to press out the bearing, but they're probably going to recommend whacking it out with a hammer. We're going to do it way easier by using the alt-alt bearing press. The over-axle design comes in two variations. The most common variation is where the axle extends well past the bearing. The other variation has an axle that doesn't protrude past the bearings. They are different, but the idea for removing the first bearing is the same. Press on the axle and leverage on the opposite side of the component. Here's how you press out the first bearing in the common variation. Choose a drift or a large pilot to press on the end of the axle. Then choose pilots to center inside the axle, but we're going to need it for both ends. Then choose a suitable leverage piece that has clearance for when the axle moves. Now to assemble the tool, install the pressing piece, then the small pilot, and use an O-ring to hold the pilot in place. Put the tool inside the axle, then use another O-ring pilot O-ring combo to center the other end of the tool. Install your leveraging piece, make sure everything is nice and square, and then turn out the bearing. This happens so easy because everything stays nice and straight with the alt-alt press. For the short axle version, you just need to make sure that the pressing piece that you choose fits inside the bearing ID. You're going to need a pilot to do this. And you may want to consider an aluminum pilot if the axle wall is really thin. Everything else is the same as pressing the first variation. Once the first bearing is out, you're left with a simple pivot bearing arrangement, and you already know how to remove those. So now that this bearing removal series is complete, you know how to remove all of the bearings found in hubs, free hubs, and suspension. And we did it all without whacking. We did it with a bearing press. Well, except for that one time when your manufacturer didn't give you a suitable leverage surface to use a bearing press, but you had to whack that one out anyways. You could still do it with the alt-alt system. And in the next video series, I'm going to show you how to install all the bearings using the alt-alt bearing press system. Stay tuned.